What is going on, people? It is Friday, July 3rd, 2026. If you're listening and you hear feedback, let me know because I hear it. Brother, do you hear feedback?
Lots of it.
Quite a bit of it, huh? Is that better? Same? Mic check, mic
That's
check.
a lot better, but still there.
Maybe my mic is just check, mic check. How's it now?
Yeah,
I just
you kind of disappeared into the background.
see. Can you hear me?
Can.
Must be is going to be one of the best shows we've had. And I think you have technical glitches.
It's
Even
good.
to start, is there a delay?
It's not a delay. There's a delay on my side now.
What is going on? Let me see if maybe I can. I did have Claude running in the background. Let me turn it off. Maybe that may help. All right.
But now,
You look fine to me.
sounds good. The sound is good.
All right, guys. Community Beacon. We're after 2 minutes, we finally started. One thing that's great about this platform, Riverside, is that it actually when I go to upload it, it'll cut all of that out.
Oh,
All right.
that's
So you get
amazing.
yeah, it automatically. So if you guys haven't been following us or you need to catch up on shows, go and check out Community Beacon TV on YouTube. Community Beacon TV YouTube. Normally, after a live episode, it'll take me about maybe 30 to 45 minutes, depending on the download. I like to go in there and do a couple of things and I have it out. But definitely by Friday evening, if not Friday evening, definitely Saturday afternoon. So go out and check out Community Beacon TV. You'll see all of the most recent episodes. There we go. Yeah, so go check us out, man. It's up there.
It's up there.
It's up there.
Looks good too.
For those of you that are still here and haven't checked in, I am Palm Beach Mike here in Palm Beach Gardens, Palm Beach County, Palm Beach everything. Appreciate you all for checking into Community Beacon each and every Friday. Of course, on the other side of the screen, we have my brother from another mother, the incomparable Joe Simmons. What's going on, brother?
I ain't got one of them, y'all. I can't do that for man. This is what I can do. I don't know why I can do that, but I can. Man, it's good to see you. It's good to be here in Community Beacon. I loved it when I looked at my messages and it was like ding, Community Beacon starting. I'm like, all right, switch gears. I'll jump inside there. It's always a pleasure to be here with you, Mike. I love this. I love this. Absolutely love it. Coming here once a week and being able to share this time with you, it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
I invite anybody, like if you want to culminate your week, kind of put a exclamation point at the top of it to kind of tune in live on Fridays. We try to get ready and going around 4:15. We'll be here about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on the conversation. And sometimes it's just great to get in here and unwind. It almost just kind of sets. You mentioned, brother, a second ago about changing gears. Sometimes you get a chance to change gears, and that is the same thing that it does for me as well. It's like, oh, the weekend is here because as an entrepreneur or possibly a workaholic, I need times that are kind of set that says, okay, you need to transition. And I too, I put so many things in my calendar. One of those alerts or times is like you need to go spend time with your family, right? Like go
Hmm.
spend time with your son. Go do like it. I have it in my. It pops up on my calendar at a certain time. It's like I don't know what you do. It doesn't say this, but essentially, I don't know what you're doing or what you're about to get into. But go and check on your son, and or it's time to spend time with them and see exactly what they're doing. So you know what was interesting, brother? Because last week you had got cut off and so I stayed on for maybe around 10 to 15 more minutes. And one of the videos that I played came from, I want to say Stephen Covey, but it may not necessarily be Stephen Covey. I don't have it pulled up today. And it essentially was talking about how to structure your week, your days, your time. And it was only because I was having a conversation with someone prior, and I was like, well, most recently, a lot of things have been really intuitive for me as far as how I structure my time. And so I was asking myself, I still want to be productive. I mean, I am productive, but I have found that
Volume's low, bro.
Can you hear me? Mic check,
Yep,
mic check.
that's it.
Okay, perfect. How to structure my time, and one of the things that came up was to do the big things, the things that
Yeah,
we call priority. Like, make sure that he said what he does is that's the first thing that he does when he gets up.
yeah,
Because he said all the little things will be there the next day and the next day after that. But if you structure your big things, so what are the big things? I've identified them as the things that are first off, they allow you to be productive, but they're really a part of what your core values are. So maybe it is spending time with them. Maybe it is, something revenue generating, the highest revenue generating thing that you should be doing. Because realistically, most things should be delegated out. I think sometimes we're not taught that. Sometimes we're taught that, and sometimes we're taught that we can't afford to delegate it out. But I've started to realize that sometimes you cannot not afford to delegate things out because you can easily get caught up with putting out all kinds of quote unquote fires or doing things that aren't necessarily conducive to actually moving the needle forward. A lot of the things we do are like I've experienced with like maintaining something and or all of what it is busy work. Sometimes you'll finish doing a lot of so-called work and haven't really moved the needle for the day. So I just think it's important to do that, and how I do it is to put it in the calendar.
yeah, man. I like that a whole lot. I do. I'm thinking about the book Atomic Habits. I don't know if that's one of the references that you were thinking about when you started talking about Stephen Covey, but that's the first thing that came to my mind was just like habit development. Just building up good habits and where those habits take us, because we all have habits. We all have habits. You can build a good habit, or you can just default to the habits that you already have that maybe you don't even acknowledge. But we all have habits. And so becoming intentional in them, I think that there's a lot of benefit. I know for me, habit development, it's one thing to know and to understand how to develop a habit. It's another thing to actually do the work to create those habits. I think after time, when you do certain things for so long, it's like it's not even, it doesn't feel like a habit anymore. It feels more like just living, just, the process is part of it. That method of Stephen Covey or Covey and putting these big things first. I don't know if you've seen it. There was a video that was going on. I don't know if it was viral or anything like that. I know I saw it on LinkedIn and I probably saw it somewhere else before too. There's like this professor gets into this classroom and he like has the big rocks and he's got the small rocks, like the sand. And he's like, put this all inside of this container, And so like people try to put it in there. They like pour the sand in first and then they try to put the smaller rocks and then he throw the big rocks and they just can't do it. Don't work. And then he was like, this is what you do it. He takes the big rocks and he drops all the big rocks in there. Then he drops the small rocks in there and they just kind of like filter their way down to some location. Then he pours the sand in over top and it fits. Boom. Everything fits inside the container. And the idea was that, many times they're taking care of the smaller things and it doesn't leave room for the larger things inside of life. And then he started giving out these different examples of what those things could be. And so I like the way you framed it up about, revenue generating things, things that actually move the needle, major things that move the needle, or heavy moves, big things, So even in my day to day, I have not gotten a lot of stuff done. If you were to look at my list, it's not a ton of stuff that I got done, but the things that I did get done were very important and they took me a lot of time to do. So I wasn't able to sprint down my list, my things to do list, which being completely transparent, I didn't even write it up, but I knew that there was like three things that needed to get done, need to be done. Two of them were revenue generating, right? And one of them was very close to it. And so those are the things that I worked on. It took me some time to like get it done, I guess I could consider it to be a heavy lift, but I just think that while we're discussing this, it's like that was super, super important. And in between it, I gotta I got a chance to do a couple other small things, but now I got a ton of small things to do, which I'll probably just, I mean, I'm just starting to run through these things, until community beacon time came up and I just put the pause on everything. So I like the way I like what we're talking about right now because and like this is something that I share with I got off this client this prospect call and I'm listening to the things that my prospect is going through. Some of it just has to do with just like your priority list. You remember we talked about that priority list a long time ago, Mike. We like broke the whole priority. We broke the priority list down and we just like these are this thing, these are this things, these are this things. Like this is just reminding me of that conversation. And I was just listening to this prospect talk. And I'm like, you're so way up here, and everything you're saying is good, but these are the things that you need to do and actually to move. And they couldn't see it. So sometimes you need those outside eyes. Sometimes you do. If you can build the habit up where you make it part of your business to like write that list out and to ensure that you know what the priorities are, what the needle movers are, that's a really big benefit. It's a huge benefit. Yeah.
Would a person know what moves the needle and what doesn't? Because I would imagine one of the things that I've noticed about people is that there's no shortage of hard workers. There's no short of hard workers. I've seen people who get up and they go from 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in the morning, whatever time it may be, and they can go from to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 at night. There's no shortage of people who aren't doing it smarter. I mean, especially now with AI and being able to bounce things off of AI, you can, they said knowledge now is commoditized because it's right here. Going to like what the exact knowledge is and the data sets are, but that's a whole different conversation. So, but however, knowledge commoditized. So essentially everyone is working smarter. I mean, you have email now, right? You have like, text messages, you have CRMs, you have all these different things. How would a person know with all these, with the ability to work quote unquote hard and the ability to work quote unquote smart? How does one know what is exactly moving the needle? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I think that's a good question. Thing that came up in my mind while we were discussing this and while you're asking that question is something we've talked about before. And it's the Eisenhower matrix. And that's what came up to my mind. It just like that's a method of being able to frame, what's urgent, what's important, and what's not urgent, and what's important, what's not important, what is urgent, and what's not urgent, what's not important. I believe that's one way to really start seeing what you should consider to be your priority if you can't figure that thing out inside your mind. Some people are juggling these things around inside their mind, and that's where they want to keep it. If it's working for you, who am I to judge? If it's not working for you, then, Eisenhower matrix, maybe that'll work for you. You can start to apply that and you can just start dividing up everything that you need to do. Take out a list, write down everything you need to do for the day, and then just start to divide it up into those four different quadrants and make sure that you take care of the important, urgent things first. Those are things you need to do. If it's important and it's not urgent, then those are the things you need to plan how you're going to do it, when you're going to do it, set the time up, put it on the calendar. And then the things that are not important, but they're urgent, you need to delegate it, just like you were saying. And if it's not important and not urgent, then those are things you just need to take off the list. That is absolutely a way. And another way is like people come to me to help me. They give this stuff to me, and I don't mind. I love doing it. With the system that I've created, that I've been blessed to come to the understanding with. I take pleasure in helping people to get clarity and to build frameworks. I take a whole lot of pleasure in doing it. So, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna give them these same type of methods to help them because I care about people. I want to see them do things on their own, even if it costs me a client. But that's why I'm different. So I believe that those are three different ways that you could you can kind of work it. And I'm sure that there are more ways that you can work it. It all depends on what your results are, what you want out of it. What do you think? What's your thoughts on this subject?
Remember the Eisenhower we had a whole episode on the Eisenhower matrix, people. So if you wanna go back and check it out, I think it's important for you to get it out of your head, like, to actually write these things down. One of the things you mentioned earlier was habits, and I was like, you know, for the sake of community beacon, this is not the dictionary definition of a habit, but I put it's a repeated return,
Hmm.
meaning that you're repeating something and you're returning back to to the same pattern, right? So my question would then be whether or not this thing is productive. There's a couple things I have to say about it, but one of the things that you mentioned, I think bears repeating is it working for you? Because there's a million different frameworks that a person can use in order to be productive, what it is, the actual productivity, what feels productive, etc. And truth be told, if you feel productive and it puts a smile on your face and you're getting whatever results it is that are satisfiable to you, I say keep doing it. If you're okay with it, then just keep doing it. Is it working for you? That's an awesome question that a person can ask themselves. And to actually be honest about it. How do I know that it's not working for me? Maybe I complain
Yeah.
about it a lot. Maybe things trigger me when I see other people doing something similar to what I'm doing and they're not getting, they have different results. So just having that awareness and being extremely, if you can't be honest with anybody else or any other person, to be extremely honest with yourself, like, is this working for you? That's number one. And if it's not working for you, then I would advise for you to follow someone who you admire or you can see the results that they're getting and see exactly what they're possibly doing different. Maybe they're doing something different. Maybe they're not. Maybe doing the same thing as you. Maybe they're doing it more frequently. Maybe they have more clarity than you. Then maybe seek it. I would advise the majority of people who are doing things or who having this repeated return or who have habits that aren't necessarily working for them because I don't necessarily see things as bad or good. I just know that whether they're working for you or not. So that would work as well. As far as being productive, this is a great way to work an experiment on exactly like you need to figure out what exactly is are your core values. If you can get because I you can have people who become millionaires and they're miserable in the way that they're doing it. You can see people who are doing the grind and having the hustle and they're miserable at it. And on paper, it looks productive. On paper, they look quote unquote successful or whatever it is. But these people are like one step away from like calling it quits on everything, right? So I advise for you to look within yourself and see what you're aligned with. What does connection look like for you? Like what are your core values and what are you actually seeking? Once again, it's another great time to take in inventory upon yourself and be brutally and gently and lovingly honest with oneself and saying, okay, I'm doing all this stuff, but it's not necessarily matching up with what I think my core values are. And this also gives you a chance to check your core values. My thing is if you're doing something, whether or not on paper it looks successful or not, is it satisfying to you? Are these things that you are in line with? I'll give a quick example. I think something so interesting is I've seen people who on paper, once again, are very successful, running some of them are running eight-figure businesses, but they lose their family in the mix of it. And to them, their family is a core value. Money's up there, right? You want to provide a lifestyle and et cetera for your family, but and there's countless of them. Damon John was one. Damon John spoke recently about how he has the opportunity. Am I back? Okay. Damon John spoke and said he had the opportunity right now to get into a business that essentially would be $1 billion business. I should have kept the clip. He said, however, he turned it down because he has, I think his child she's under 10. And he's talking about when he was, Damon John is this founder of Fubu. He's one of the four founders of Fubu. He said when he was running FUBU and running that business, he missed out on so much time with his kids. Essentially to the point to where he's an absent he was in his mind, he would consider himself having not really been there for them. He probably was able to provide for them probably fairly well. Probably went to really good great schools, afforded some of the best neighborhoods, whatever it may be. However, he wasn't there for them. So now that he has X amount of money, because really when you look at it, you can most people it's limitless to what exactly you could do, but he's like, "I wanna spend" he has a younger child now, "I wanna spend the time," right? I remember Nipsey Hussle said the way that kids spell love is Time. Like, they want the time with you, they want to connect with you, and the way that the resource that he knows is the time, so he's turning down these businesses or ability to have this sway or because it was a bunch of different businesses he would actually be running, but the funding because he wants to spend time with his daughter. That's his core right at this point in time. So the answer is different for everybody. Like where I would start there. What is my core value? And I would actually challenge that. I would actually experiment on that. I would do when I because the same video you're speaking on, brother, was the same thing video that I showed last week. It was hadn't it was probably slightly different because it was I remember the one that you were talking about. This one was a little bit different, but essentially it was the same video with the rocks and the sand. I would advise you to put what you believe your core values are. Those are the big rocks. So if it's family, if it's for some people it's spirituality, some people it's time with self, some people it's health, like whatever these things is, I would make sure that they're the big rocks. The gym is super important to me, like being healthy. It's super important to me. I will find a way, whether it's in the morning or the time, and everything will fit around that. That's important to me. My my sons and my family are very important to me. Everything will fit around that. And then when I started doing and those I found to be my core values. At one point in time, I thought my core value was, let's say, money, generating revenue. I thought that was, and I did that for years and I did well. However, that wasn't I found that to be super exhausting. When I started finding out for me what were my core values, like the energy and the time, the energy, the love around it, my emotions surrounding it, like I have such a calm, what I call a peaceful, not that I don't have all these other things going on, but all these things fit in. I'm not picking up the phone if I'm spending time with my son Paul. If me and Elijah are playing NBA 2K, chances are you shouldn't be calling me. If me and my father are playing Connect Four or chess or whatever, or having the deep conversations, I'm probably not going to pick up a phone call about business. Likewise, when I'm on the phone with a client and I'm connecting with them about their whatever it is that they have going on, that also brings me energy. Someone called me yesterday. They bought a house in 2019. They wanted to find out something about their mortgage. They texted me, right? And so I spent the next 2 to 3 hours and I didn't need to do anything else
Okay,
for the
that
day. I
sounds
felt
good
good
about
about the value and the support and just the connection and answering this information for somebody. So I'm able to kind of experiment like, well, what are my core values? And here's the thing, your core values change or could change over time. They did for me. At one time, this was what it was, and now at the place that I'm at in life now, this is what it is. I can't tell you for Damon John, about it. Like, once again, for him, it was different at one point in time, and now it's different at this point in time. So the ability to kind of play around or have time to figure out what you're yeah, play around. Do that. Find out what the play around with it, experiment with it, find where you find joy with it, and those could be your core values, quote unquote, your big rocks that you make sure are in your calendar because that's what makes life worth living. You don't want to do something that, especially if it's for other people or what it looks like, you can do whatever you want. That's what you want to do. But figure out what it is, put those as your bigger rocks. Everything else will fall into place. I promise you, people will not die. It won't more than likely you won't starve. More than likely, you may lose business from time to time, but you get a chance to figure out if that works for you. So that's kind of how I would look at figuring out what's productive. It's not even adding more to your life, is it? What I'm starting to find out is more about taking away things. And I'm telling you, the less I do, the more I make. I was listening to Dean Jackson speak on that I think earlier this week about that same thing. He's like, the less I do, the more I make, because the time that I'm spending doing are things that I'm really passionate about and I enjoy. And as soon as I stop enjoying it or figuring out ways of how to enjoy a thing, I'm probably more than likely going to stop doing it or I won't do it consistently over time. Figure that out.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, man. One of the things that with my program, with the program that I use for coaching, and I've gotten it down to, as people might say, I've gotten it down to a science, right? Like I don't even care about having some like specialized name for it or anything like that. VCF, that's it. My VCF, it's my signature program. I coach it, I speak it, I live it. To just I'm a believer. I am a believer. Vision, clarity, focus. And whenever I find myself losing focus, I just go right back to it. Like what has happened in my life that's changed? Has something changed or am I just defocused? What is it? Inside of the vision part of it, I take people through this process called the three lenses. They're very simple questions, very simple questions. And I don't care if people hear it or anything like that. Like the sauce that I use for my ribs is it's not so secret that I'm scared somebody else will use it and be more profitable. Do you be good at it? But it's like I ask these three questions, and it starts with the great who am I or who are they? Then who do you desire to be or where do you desire to go? And then how do you desire to show up when you get there? And like this is like the way that I help people to frame their overarching goal. So why do I bring this up? It's because like it starts to establish who you are, which I believe has so much to deal with like your core values. Like what if you got this great goal and like you don't even value that? It doesn't even matter to you. Like you will not follow through because it has nothing to do with your life. It exposes things, it exposes that people are just doing a money grab. It definitely exposes that. And if that's what you want to do, then hey, man, by all means, go do a money grab. You're not doing it with me, because I'm okay. I'd rather you just go and do that thing. This thing about core values is huge. It's just huge. And I'm glad that you brought it up. I'm glad you said it. I'm glad you said it because before we start intentionally developing habits, we should check to see if it aligns with our beliefs, our principles, our values. Like before we start creating all of these different types of habits, before we decide what the big rock is or what the gravel is, right? Before, because so many times we as people, man, we just, hey, what did Mike say? Oh, what did Joel say? Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's the thing. That's the thing right there. That's what I'm going to do. And then we go and start running after that, and we realize, yo, that was for Mike. That was for Joel. And I'm just using us as an example. But the bottom line is that many people are still affected by the pressure of their peers. Yo, let me go talk with Robbie. Let me talk with Taniqua. Let me go. You got all of these people that are chit chatting inside of your ears all day long. And because something's working for them, immediately yo, that's the thing that I should be doing. And I don't know where you are. You're all over the place. You're developing habits that aren't even your habits. How could they be good habits if they're not even your habits? They're habits of somebody else. If they're going to be a good habit for you, then the first thing you need to figure out is, do you even want to achieve the goal? Like, is that even something that you desire? Is it something that you desire? Now we can like I love the fact that you're like, family and health. Those are huge things and they fit a whole lot of people, right? They fit me. They fit so many people. It's like we need to figure out, we need to get alignment, we need to understand what it is that we want out of this life. What it is we want out of this life. Then start making some intentional habits to achieve the life that you desire to have or to be in line with the life that you believe you have. And then at that point in time, it becomes a lot easier to start to do all this other stuff that Mike and I have been talking about. it becomes so much easier. And when you get out of alignment, you begin to realize it. It's like a bright and sunny day, and then all of a sudden it's like thunderstorms, cloudy, darkness. You feel like you can't see, you can't walk. Everything is just so difficult and challenging. And it's like at that very moment, it's you start to ask yourself a question. And whatever that question is, the literal question, I believe that those are alignment questions. Am I at the precipice of becoming something greater? And I'm going in the right direction. I'm right here. This is the thing. I'm moving through the thing because I'm being exposed to something that is new and exciting. This is what I've been waiting for. And this is me going through the process of understanding I'm growing. Or all of a sudden it's like I've gone so far off the pathway that I'm lost in the woods, and I just realized it. Like I was so busy following what I don't even know, following somebody else, that I got so far off my own pathway that I just kind of woke up and realized it. And I need to reconfigure. I need to align myself. Oh, hold on. This isn't where I'm supposed to be at. There's quite frankly, there could be many other ways of describing this for somebody. And if I was with somebody and they were giving me the way that they were thinking, I would find a way to describe it best for them. But I hear a whole lot of alignment, and I believe that that's really powerful. And so, like when you start to think about these habits, that we started this discussion with first, Mike, it's like create habits. I believe in creating habits intentionally, but create them for the things that you desire, for the place that you desire to go, for the person you desire to be. Whatever you do it for your benefit. Do it for your benefit. Do it for your personal benefit. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay to take care of yourself. It's okay to be happy with yourself. It's okay to wake up in the morning and be like, boy, I love being me. Whew. Whatever happens today, I'm ready for it. Even if I ain't ready for it, I'm still ready for it because I'm glad to be me. And that's important to me. I'm going to knock these things out. Why? Because that's what I want to do. That makes me happy. You and I were just talking about, hey, what are you going to do tomorrow? And I think I told you something like, I'm going to work. I'm going to spend some time with the family, and I'm going to clean. I had to look at my list. I'm gonna clean. And then you added like, good food and gym. And I'm like, yo, that sounds really good. And I put it down on my list because it fits me. But not because it fits you. I put it on my list because it fits me. I'm wearing my own clothes. I think we need to stop wearing other people's clothes. I love this conversation. This is so good.
Yeah, a while back we spoke about like this room, and we start to accumulate a lot of stuff in our room.
Yeah.
And then what happened? And we kind of came up on the thought of like giving people their stuff back. And I think just as human beings, and probably just growing up and living life, and as you grow from a child into adolescence into adulthood and etc., like you know we're taught a lot of different things, and there's things that we pick up just from watching. So if you see someone that you admire, or some people envy, some people are jealous of or compare themselves to, we can kind of start to say, well, let's just see what they're doing because they seem a certain kind of way. And so we kind of take that on. And I think that's just human nature. That's just the way that we are. And then at some point in time, wake up and say, okay, well, this may no longer serve me and or fit me, this way of being. I'm coming upon my own. I am accepting the person who I am, because I'm talking about alignment, but you really got to go back and get to the awareness part of it. Like, okay, this is no longer where I'm at. It served me for a time. I enjoyed it. I personally don't regret any part of what it was that I was doing, because I got to learn. Then at some point in time, the flavor of it was no longer suited for me, not the way that it was. So wherever I was at that time, I accept it. I enjoy it. This is where I am. I think so there's times when we don't really accept where we are and who we are. And so we're attempting to get to another place because, okay, whatever's going on here. I know I don't want to be here. I desire, to use your words, something else in my mind. But you, at some point in time, you still got it because if in order for you to get somewhere, you need to know where you are and accept that. Because if you can accept it in the now, then I'm telling you, the rest of it is just it's just added parts of your journey. So if you can figure out like who you are, whatever it is now, if you can wake up and being who you are now and be okay and just accept it and say, okay, well, this is I'm accepting this each next step of the journey, and you just accept each next step of the journey. I don't know where it may be. I'm also not I'm also not against people going after money. Some people that's what you want. If that's what you want, I'm not telling you no different, and I'm not
Go
telling
get
you
it.
not. I personally don't think going and getting money is a bad thing. I don't think that it's a bad thing. I don't think there's anything wrong with money. You may have a bad we have bad relationships with money, but money is just a resource that we have. You can have that same negative connotation with time, space, people, environments, whatever it is, like all these resources, you can have a negative relationship to it. You can be super attached to some of these things. When that thing starts to define you, you get a chance to really take a look at it. Because when you don't, because it can be taken away. If it's taken away from you and you feel less than what you are, then you probably have a bad relationship to it. You may have a negative charge to it if it can be taken away. That's my thought process around it. So learn to accept. And for some of us, it's harder than others because we do things to avoid having to accept who we are and the place that we are and how we got here. We can avoid it. We
Mm,
fight against it. We can start to project it onto other people. Like, why is this happening? And not actually being able to sit with it. Me and my father have this conversation all the time. We talk about how people aren't able to sit with themselves. He's like, I don't know what it is. He's like, people just don't want to deal with themselves. So they may find that through different relationships. They may find that through I've seen it happen with people looking to do businesses. I've seen people take on other people's problems. They start to sacrifice. They always, a lot of this, I call it people, not just myself. But it's like you have this savior mentality. And so you want to take on it. You want it to be put on you. When I'm like, you get a chance to kind of sit with yourself and see what happens. And I'm telling you, everything else will fall into place, but we cope with it. I wrote a Facebook message recently, and it had to do with me going through like some sadness. I was like, I was sad about the expectations that I put on to people and not really taking into consideration whether or not these people had the capacity, which ultimately they didn't. They didn't have the capacity to kind of, deal with these things, right? Whatever it may be. I'll go to a super extreme version of this story was and you all forgive me because the way that I think about sadness and grief and these different things may be a little bit different from the way you do it, whoever's listening, because I really don't think of sadness or grieving or any of this stuff as like negative. I think they have I call it a different flavor. This is a different flavor. Maybe this flavor I'm not used to. Maybe it takes getting used to, but it's just a different flavor. And oftentimes when I sit with it, there's really nothing bad about it. It actually leads to expansion. If you can actually sit with yourself in sadness, sit with yourself in grieving, and start to welcome these things, especially if they're extreme. Like when you have these extreme emotions, it's like the best time because when you sit with it and I use something called emotional inquiry, and I do an EI, call it, and I'll shorten it for EI. I do an EI with it. Oftentimes, by the time this EI is over, which is probably 10 to 20 minutes, I'm like, man, I can't wait for that to happen again sometimes. So I was sitting with this sadness about the capacity, and I was just like, you can, if you don't deal with this thing, because that's what it is, the capacity, and I'm expanding my capacity. If I don't deal with it, or let me not say deal with it, if I don't welcome it or hold it, which is really me welcoming myself and holding myself, I can find all kinds of ways of how to put it on, make it outside of me to where I have to, something outside of me has to
Alleviate.
alleviate whatever I have going on inside of me. And that alleviation is really what I call relief. Like I'm looking outside of me to relieve my to have relief as opposed to having something that instead of having a resolution, like the resolution comes from within me. The relief comes from outside. So the relief ends up being short-lived, right? Like I can start watching TV. There's nothing wrong with I love me a good show. If you all I'm a huge Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul right now. But that can relieve me for a while. It can take my mind off of a thing, or I can go running. That'll relieve me for a while. But if I sit within it, then I get a resolution from it. So that's how I make a distinction between the two. And I'll go really super extreme just to get this point across. It's like my mother passing. My mother passed. My mother had cancer, for those of you that don't know, in 2020. And while I was dealing with that, or even going back to think about it at times, as opposed to allowing to sitting with the grieving process or the sadness, I would blame my mother. Like, how come she didn't have the capacity to do this? Like, what, she's
Mhm.
strong. She's a believer, what she believed. And so why? That's the why? Well, how come these people didn't help me or whatever it was? Like these things could come to your mind. And instead of having to sit with the grief of what actually is, like this is happening and the acceptance of it. Once I started to sit with it, even the sadness or even with the grief, the amount of the resolution that came by, the amount of being able to kind of see things in like a more positive light, the amount of letting go and just allowing this thing to happen, like it totally changes the thought process to now when I have conversations about it. There's people who come to me like they're upset about it more than I am. And I'm the one having conversations with them about that certain situation. Now I know that was extreme. I want you all to take a look at there's times when there's things that we tend to avoid, whatever it may be, and because we don't want to actually sit. And sitting with something can be very uncomfortable if you're doing it for the first time or you don't have a habit. So let's talk about intentional habits. You don't have an intentional habit of doing it. The first couple of times, like you're actually working through this. So instead of something that may take 10, it may take you a day, it may take you a week, it may take like there's no time. I'm encouraging you not to put a time limit on it. What I'm encouraging you to do is to be able to sit with it over a certain amount of time so that it becomes a habit. So now I take it, even when I call it EI, that's me formally sitting down and going through the process. But what I've always endeavored, and shouts out to Joy DuPont, that's who I would call like my spiritual, my God rest, may her soul rest. She taught me to endeavor to kind of be a walking embodiment of a thing. So now, even when I've become a walking embodiment of this EI. I've become a walking embodiment of meditation or whatever it is. So that even in my day to day life, like because I've worked on it or I've put effort into it and I've done it X amount of times to where it's just become a part of me, a lot of this stuff is intuitive to me. Now, that's not to say that every now and then I don't sit down and it's almost like going back and rereading a great book. Like just because you read it the first time and you got a lot out of it and it maybe moved you in a certain kind of way, doesn't mean you can't go back to it. Even though you can repeat things that's in the book, even though you can say things that resonate with you or it can bring things to your mind, every now and then, go back and sit with the book, even though it may have been a certain kind of way. That's the same way that I do meditation, my EIs, so on and so forth. And that's how and just developing an intentional habit that I have because I endeavored to find resolution for whatever it was. These feelings are that kind of way. This EI, this meditation, that sort of way. So this is just some of the things that I'm attempting to inform about, like, getting back to the point of what we were talking about, of establishing these habits, increasing your capacity. If you go back and I'm telling you, go back and check out that Facebook post because someone else put an awesome response. Because I was asking her, like, if I know she does, but she works with people as well. She's an awesome coach, and she was saying, how does one increase their capacity? And she started saying, well, once you start figuring out how to take certain things as threats, your nervous system starts taking things as threats. then you're able to work with it easier. The EI helps that. The breath work that I do helps that. The meditation helps that. It helps to work on, and then a lot of this stuff I just kind of just follow it. You know, there's no shame in it. Following other people who I saw were able to handle things. Like, what were they doing in order to increase their capacity and do it so well? And then turn around and teach me how to do these things. Right? There was a lot of experimenting. There was a lot of going and speaking with different people. Experimentation. I can't tell you the amount of experimentation you do, and figure out ways how to do it playfully, to put ways that you can enjoy it. How do I enjoy this thing? How can I play around with these experiments? That way you're not going to it like, oh man, I got to go do this again.
Mm.
You know, because I, cause what ends up happening is that it doesn't end up becoming consistent. So figure out ways in life and be around people in life that will add to that. If you have people around you who are going in a certain direction, it doesn't have to be the exact direction, right? We all have our own intricacies and nuances that we have, but people that are generally going in the direction. Hey, you headed north? Let me. Hey, let's walk along with you.
Mm.
Maybe you get off first. Maybe they get off first. Maybe you take good. They've gone for as far as they can with you. And then that. Oh man, that makes me think about the grieving. Now you get it because oftentimes we want to continue taking people with us, but sometimes our ride has just ended. Like our time has ended. So if you start thinking of like releasing people, and sometimes we release people with sadness, we may grieve it. Even the way people change, 'cause we are changing. A lot of us are changing all the time, right? How do you say, okay, well, this relationship is changing. I'm aggrieved the way that it was, but now I'm stepping into this new. Like, what are the possibilities that we have for us? It's not the same, it's changed. These are the new possibilities. So you get a change. So now grieving, sadness, all these things, they take on a different flavor. They take on a different way of you of being. It's just like, hey, I was sad about such and such leaving, but I'm also happy for that for them heading in that direction. I'm sad that you and I aren't going to be spending as much time together, but I'm happy for the time that we had, and I'm hoping for the best for you. That just changes for me. That just changes the way that you kind of you relate to life, because it's not about what are the two things promised. People say is taxes and death. Like these things are going to happen. These seasons are changing. Like brother, you spoke about sometimes you just find yourself in the thunder and the light, rained upon or whatever. Maybe it's time to dance in the rain. Maybe it's time to look up and enjoy this rain that's coming down. Man, it was hot for a while. We need rain. Maybe it's time for this rain to come so we can see how the grass flourishes. The trees get watered. All these different kind of things that we can do because we relate to it differently because we've had time to sit with a lot of these things that somebody else may have said was negative. Like we watch these movies and the movies say when Bambi got mother got killed, like you was sad and we cried. I still remember that book. But now we're looking at it like, oh, this is just a change of the season because this had to happen for Bambi to go through their journey in life. Like, hey, you don't wish it on anybody, but these things tend to happen. But what happens because of it? Like, because that's all we're promised that these things are going to happen. So maybe that's a different way. And then within that, like now even think about the habits that you're creating. And I would also say that a lot of us need to shed some habits more so than create new ones. And some of us need to create new ones in place of the old ones, some ones that aren't necessarily serving us, that aren't ours for whatever reason. But a lot more shedding, a lot more intentionality. And just because you're intentional about it doesn't mean it's going to come out exactly the way that you want it to be. So a lot more releasing and being open to receiving, because sometimes we won't be able to receive because we're not open to it because it has to be this way, and you just jumped over whatever it was that you was actually looking for. Like you go back and you look, you're like, man, I should have been open to that, right? Like, okay, now lesson learned. I'm gonna move forward because one thing is never gonna what's for you is gonna definitely be for you, but at the same time, you can miss some certain things if you're just so rigid and
Rigid.
stuck in a way that you are. So I think it covered a lot, but that capacity, like just to open it up and the habits of it, I think it definitely helped for me to kind of think through that thought process as we go through this episode, bro.
Yeah, man. So much good in what you're talking about. I like the emotional inquiry. And you've mentioned that before as well. I love it. You bring a lot of things to the table that you've got like these names for them. Like you've done this study for them. And I just enjoy that. I really do. And I believe that the names, these methods that they're beneficial to people, and it's something that they can. It's not just like wisdom. It's like a framework that's capturable. Someone can go and pull it up, and it's not to say that it's not wisdom. That's not what I mean. But it's like, hey, oh, I heard him say that. Let me go look this up. Let me go research this, and someone can dive deeper into it versus just the opening of what it is. So I just love that. I think one of my most recent experiences was just a couple weeks ago when I had like hit this place inside of my own life. And I was just like, and I think it was right before we got on this show. And I was just like, man, as I'm going through, I'm just like thinking about what is it that I'm going through and just like the whole identification and understanding it more. And it was the crazy part about it was like you asked me a question, you're like, well, what would release it or ease the pain? And I was like, and I gave you an answer. And then right afterwards though, it's like my mind, my heart was saying, but I don't know if that's really the answer right there. And like as I went through that entire process, like it wasn't the answer. It was one of the answers. Absolutely one of the answers. That was one of the things, but it wasn't the answer. It wasn't the answer, right? And then so I resonate with it because the answer I had given you was like, it's like that was very, very external. But the internal part was, just like, all right, put these things in order. And it just kind of took me back to, okay, this is the vision. This is the plan. This is who I am. What are you doing? And I just made some slight adjustments to what I am doing. And I haven't hit everything that I desired, but the peace and the openness and the freedom, it entered back in. It entered back in. I was like, okay, now we can walk. I had to make some adjustments. I sent out a message to a few of my friends and to some trusted individuals to help me through this process, right? Because it's a heavy process. So it was a very heavy process for me a couple weeks ago. It doesn't feel as heavy today, even though everything hasn't exactly changed. Doesn't feel as heavy though. I'm definitely free. And I'm just walking through this process and I'm just watching how doors open. I don't even know if it was 2 weeks ago. It might have been a week ago, but it's like, and this is part of what I live for. So don't get me wrong. Like I was sitting there talking with my pastor. Man, when I go through these tough moments in life, I love it. I just love it. Like I have a goal to live to be 131. As I've said that prayer and I've mentioned it to so many people now, I guess if I'm mentioning it online, I mention it to everybody, right? One of the things that people may not know about that is that when I said that prayer and when I put it out there, I also mentioned that I would be open to everything that comes with it because I have this deep desire to be able to give what I've learned to somebody else. And I don't want to miss the lessons. And it's like, I know that there's going to be some that will that may cause me struggle, may cause me pain, but I'm also a firm believer that I'll make it through all of it. Like when I look back over my past life, I see all the things I've made it through. And I know not everybody, but many people have got that story. It's like, man, you don't know what I've been through. And so I'm not trying to throw my you don't know what I've been through story out there on somebody else to trump anybody's anything. Just speaking for me, right? Just me. What I've been through, something else for me and the mindset that I had during the times that I've been through it. So I can only imagine what it's going to be like 40 years from now because I got to continue to grow. So like all the stuff that I know now, there's got to be a challenge out there that's going to cause my capacity to get larger. It's going to cause me to be stronger. It's going to cause me to be wiser. It's going to cause me to be better. And even if I have to go down the dark pathway that I don't understand, it's going to be for my good. And that's my mindset. That's who I am. the inner workings of this guy. So, man, I love this process. I love this grace that I've been afforded. I enjoy it. And that's why I love these conversations. And I love these conversations. I loved them in the past, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, Mike. I loved them in the past. And I can't honestly say that I love them now more. I mean, I want to say something like that, but I just think that I just continue to experience like this new fondness of being in these conversations. But I tell you, one of the things that is different from way back 5 years ago and now is like 5 years ago, it was like, yo, I'm building this business and I want this to support it. And, and I want to be able to do this. And now it's more like, I just want to get here and I want to be able to have these conversations. I want to talk about some real stuff. I want to learn some real stuff. Man, I want to feel the impact of this conversation. And if there's anything that's imprinted on me, then I want to go ahead and I want to keep that. And if somebody else is willing to go through this with us, then I invite them to be here with us because that's really what this is about. Community Beacon is about our stories, our struggles, our successes, our joys, our sadness, our fears. It's just about our take on the world and the things that we learn and just sharing them with other people so that maybe they can take whatever we're given to them and do something beautiful with it. So I just love this. Anyway, that's it for me for today.
People, awesome, awesome, awesome interaction. I did the I'm definitely appreciative of the brother on the other side. 5, 6 years, man, that we've been doing community beacon, showing up each and every time. Sometimes not in the best. It depends, right? Like, because we're doing this life. And when we first started, we saying, what was our saying? We're building it as we fly. And honestly, if you actually go back from now to then, like there's a certain amount of there's a word for it, but like almost like a settleness. Like we're settling, we've settled into something that's not just as about us being, somewhat comfortable on camera, but like putting out there what it actually is. Like this is a lot of it's like exactly what it is. And I appreciate the brother for bringing his honesty, his sincerity to the conversations, and ability to listen.
Likewise.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, brother. For me, like what you see is what you get. So I'm telling you, if you see me on Community Beacon and I talk like this, like in person, it's almost the same way. It's the same thing. And feel free to have a conversation with me if you see me out there and we can have some we can take it somewhere because I'm open definitely to seeing that. But yeah, man, awesome show. Appreciate the brother. Appreciate you all. Those
Likewise.
of you that check in. It's Community Beacon TV on YouTube, and we can't go live just yet. I think we have a couple more shows or if it's things that we need to do before we can go live. So up until then, you can sit. You're probably watching this on Facebook and/or I think my YouTube, but Community Beacon TV on the YouTube. That's the channel. Go check us out. Other than that, see you next week as long as God willing the creek don't rise. Peace.
What ain't no but there